Eyes will this afternoon be on a Parliament as we do anticipate the National Assembly Speaker, that is Moses Masika Wetangula, to pronounce himself on the recent court ruling that declared Azimio la Umoja One Coalition as the majority within the Parliament buildings. And of course, the Speaker is expected at exactly 2:30 to deliver that particular ruling. We're keeping an eye on that. Other stories making headlines at this hour. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. The sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Lucy Moore. And quickly, I want to take you live to the corridors of justice, where it is in regards to the anti-corruption chief magistrate, that is Thomas Nzioki, is currently delivering his verdict on the 588 million shilling graft case against former Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Ndugu Waititu. Let's listen into the proceedings there at the Milimani Law Courts.
And the invoices 126B, which were retrieved from the IFMI system. In my humble view, prosecution evidence in support of the payment made to Testimony Press Limited for the tender in question and request for quotation is sound and overwhelming. Critical part of this heading is the movement of funds after the payments into Testimony Press Limited account, domiciled at Equity Bank. To entities which are associated with the former governor and his wife, as shown by the 4 flowcharts. We start with the first flowchart, from testimony to Saikatu estate developers. You are able to see the checks. The other flowchart shows the second one, testimony movement from Testimony Press Limited account to Lake Naivasha Resort account. There's the second one, the second flowchart from testimony to Benvenue Delta Hotel. Then that testimony to Lake Naivasha. Then the fourth chart, movement from Testimony Enterprise Limited to Charles Chege. Then funds transfers that went to Benvenue Delta Hotel as well as Saikatu Estate developers. In summary, from these flowcharts, the payment received by Saikatu Developers Limited at Benvenue Delta Hotel from Testimony Limited and the further accused Charles Chege Budhia, who sources public fund from Kiambu County Government, is shown in table number 3. Table 3, I've summarized all that movement in that particular table. Total 18,410,500. Table 4, payment received by Benvenue Delta Hotel from Equity Bank, account of testimony, again totaling to 7,214,000. Table 4. So that shows the money trail and where money came from and where it ended. I look at the validity of the contract for this tender. That contract is now exhibit number 61. The procurement process preceding the execution of this contract is tainted by fraud. I've got no doubt about that. I've looked at the definition of fraud under the Black's Law Dictionary, which is knowing misrepresentation of truth or concealment of material fact to induce another to act to on his or to her detriment. The first issue that I tackle is that Testimony Press Limited won the tender by relying on forged academic certificates, forged CV, and a forged recommendation letter for proof of works of proof of similar works. The attachment to these bid document by testimony attests to these facts. Indeed, that company lacked qualified personnel and work experience to undertake such a big road project. The second issue on it is that Testimony Limited won the tender by manipulation and procurement fraud perpetrated by Engineer Luka Wayenya and the Tender Evaluation Committee. The inclusion of the new criteria during the tender evaluation to which serialization and form of tender gave Testimony Enterprises undue advantage against the other 4 bidders. From the start, Engineer Luka manipulated the process of procurement contrary to Section 74(1), Roman 1 of the Act by omitting serialization and form of tender in the bid document, Plaintiff X number 8, and cunningly in his defense, despite the obvious omission, he alleged that the 2 criteria were mandatory as state requirement under the said Act. The casual disregard of the professional opinion, Plaintiff X number 14 by the engineer and the
If you're just joining us, that is the Anti-Corruption Chief Magistrate Thomas Nzioki, who is currently delivering his verdict on the 588 million shilling graft case against former Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Ndogo Waititu. Our very own Ruth Wamboy is currently attending that particular judgment reading and will brief us in our subsequent bulletin. Let's come back here to the studio so that I can take you to the Augusta House and let you know what will be happening there this afternoon. The National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula is set to address the House on Wednesday afternoon regarding the majority and minority question following a chaotic Tuesday afternoon where the minority side moved to occupy seats reserved for the majority party, citing a High Court ruling that declared Azimio the majority coalition. Now, the legislators did not hold a morning session, as is the case normally following the Speaker's ruling. The chaos delayed the approval of members set to sit in the House Business Committee, chaired by the Speaker Moses Masika Wetangula. The powerful committee is responsible for determining the House calendar and approving all businesses before it is tabled. It includes the majority and minority leaders, their respective whips, and 9 other members nominated by the parliamentary parties and approved by MPs in a plenary session at the start of each session.
The matters at order number 8, which was Constitutional House Business Committee, is stepped down for reasons that you all know. 2, we will, as expected, not sit tomorrow morning because we have no House Business Committee to prioritize or program business for the House. So tomorrow morning you have a free morning. We will assemble at 2:30 tomorrow. I'll try and see if I can burn my midnight oil with my clerks and lawyers, sift through what you have said today, all of you, and advise you accordingly in the afternoon in the direction I'll give. Remember, as I said, the court quashed the decision and the ruling of the Speaker on the declaration of majority. The court has no capacity, has no power to declare who is majority and who is minority. That is a matter for the House. This is a matter for this House, and we will give you direction so that you can continue with doing your legislation, your oversight, and your representation roles in guiding our country so that we don't lose time. Thank you so much, all of you, even those who threw brickbats at the Speaker. The Speaker is seasoned, the Speaker is mature, the Speaker is used to this kind of thing, so I have no time to begrudge anybody. Whenever you want to say anything against the Speaker, do it. As long as you are doing it in good faith, I'll take it. If you do it maliciously, of course, then it begs Wanjala can deal with you.
That was the Speaker Tuesday evening delivering the directions that he will give this afternoon. And of course, the members are expected to converge at exactly 2:30 on the floor of the House. Now, from the National Assembly to a devolved assembly here, the Kiambu County Assembly has resumed its sitting after the long recess with an assurance from the ward representatives that they will burn the midnight oil to ensure business is done. The MCAs commenced their legislative duties addressing key motions, including approval of Dr. Masi Murungi as the County Executive Committee member for Education, Gender and Social Services. The legislators assured the electorates of their commitment to serve with diligence. The MCAs took an issue with the Senate, accusing the lawmakers of not fighting hard to protect devolution.
Tiwa budget ya kufanya kazi katika hii muhula tuko nayo, lakini tutajiconfine ourselves within ile pesa kidogo ambayo tutakuwa tunapata kama bunge, ili tuone ya kwamba tunatekeleza yale majukumu ambayo tunafaa kufanya kulingana na ile budget tutakuwa nayo.
Tungewaomba wakati ambapo pengine wanaandaa hizi bills waweze kuzileta kwa bunge wakati ambao unafaa, ili tupate muda mzuri wa kuweza kuhimiza watu wetu ni miswada ipi ama ni nini ziko katika meza yetu ya County Assembly.
And in other news, the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, KBC, and the Xinhua News Agency have signed a letter of intent laying the ground for the signing of a memorandum of understanding on areas of partnership between the two institutions. KBC's Managing Director Agnes Kaleche says the corporation is seeking to improve 3 key areas with the support of Xinhua Agency, namely equipment upgrades, technology training, and digital platform development. She spoke when she hosted a delegation from the agency led by the global Vice President Yuan Binzong for a tour of the broadcasting house.
I believe with a stronger partnership between KBC and Xinhua News Agency will be mutually beneficial. I am confident that the organization can assist us in strengthening our media operation and making tangible differences in the lives of Kenyans.
Xinhua looks forward to exploring opportunities to deepen cooperation with the KBC in areas such as television, the production, new media dissemination, and technological innovation, especially for there are a lot of the infrastructure programs under the China and Africa cooperation.
Now, across our borders, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi is in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, for the 38th ordinary session of the Assembly of the Heads of State and Governments. Mudavadi, who is also the Foreign and Diaspora Affairs Cabinet Secretary, is scheduled to lobby for the election of Raila Odinga as the next African Union Commission chairperson. Let's come back here to the country. Still on the same, leaders from the Maendeleo ya Wanawake have called on former Prime Minister Raila Odinga to prioritize women's rights and leadership opportunities if elected as the next Africa Union chairperson. While extending their best wishes to Odinga ahead of Saturday's election, the women leaders emphasized the need for a strong advocate for women's empowerment at the continental level, highlighting Odinga's long-standing commitment to social justice and inclusive governance. The leaders also underscored the importance of peace and stability in Africa, particularly in conflict zones such as the Democratic Republic of Congo, where women and children bear the greatest brunt of violence and displacement. They expressed hope that if elected, Odinga will play a pivotal role in fostering peace and security across the continent.
Largely unheard. Families, children, and the entire communities suffer Yet, African women bear the greatest burden of war, are not adequately represented in peace negotiations, strengthen women's leadership and representation, ensure women's organizations like Maendeleo, which is 73-year-old, and across Africa have a direct voice to you at the AU in the decision-making forums, in peace processes, and policy formulation.
Now to another developing story here, our very icon, that is the late Mambo Mbotela. And of course, the family is being visited right now by the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation icons who are currently in Langata. Let's listen in to what is happening in that particular area, given that the family is situated in that particular area. Yesterday, top officials from KBC were able to join. Let's listen in.
He had the highest rating radio program. And this gave me an opportunity as a person who had been employed by the Voice of Kenya to do commercial selling for the programs. He gave me a good program, and I went out there and I sold that program. And I can tell you it was a good program. So today we are here to eulogize somebody who had a top rating radio program in the name of J. Hunyungwana. Apart from that, he attracted a lot of advertisers who came to play sports around the program. Over the time, we still continued having conversations. And one day he popped up a question and asked me, how about now taking J. Hunyungwana to another notch, which is having it on television? And there was a cement company ready. So in essence, he also brought in a lot of revenue. Apart from doing the good programs, he also made KBC earn a lot of revenue from the advertising world. So here today, we have come to eulogize somebody who was warm and somebody who worked hard, somebody who was a good newscaster. He had good programs. He had a good outlook in terms of dealing with the colleagues and friends. And I will always remember him also for something. One day I was stranded in some government office and I was wondering now what next? And there he came with his warm spirit and asked me, Mama, what is the problem? So I narrated to him what my issue was. Do you know he held my hand like this and took me from one office to the other. Everything was being done in minutes. And after about half an hour, everything was done. I will forever cherish that, because if he had not come in to help me with the issue that I had, I don't know what I would have done. And I feel like I owe him so much. I feel I'm at a loss, and I know everybody else here is also feeling the loss. And it is not only a loss to the broadcasting industry, it is also a loss to the whole of Kenya, because he had such programs that made people glue their ears. J. Hunyungwana. It was a date, Sunday, 12:30 p.m. I think we are all at a great loss. Thank you.
And also we shall remember that Leonard Mambo was one of the people that started the youth programs, which was a musical, kwa vijana. And here with us, of course, we have got one of those guys who took up from that position, John Karani. Tafadhali kuja useme kidogo, tukiendelea. John Karani, of course, most of you know him with his weekend musical showdowns. Saturday Live?
Saturday Night Show.
Saturday Night Show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Poleni sana familia ya Mambo, the mother, the sisters, the children. My name is John Karani. I work for KBC English Service as a radio producer and presenter. And to me, Mambo is like a dad. You know, the person who every time I'm doing a program, he comes to check on me and tells me, you're doing a good job, you're doing a good job. Somebody I could look up to. And this is one person who loved laughing. Every time you meet him, you tell him something, that laughter came from deep inside him. He will laugh and tell you, Maje, 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 Maje. I mean, there are only two people in this country who basically are the best, him and Fred Machoka. Those are the people who are basically were the best of the best at the moment. One is gone, and to me, Mambo was radio, and radio was Mambo. This country doesn't know what it has lost, but it's one of the biggest talents in this country. And we just say pole sana, radio has lost and the country has lost, but we'll keep that legacy alive. And even when I interviewed him 2 years back for Saturday Night Show SNS, he was laughing throughout the program, and his laughter, his sense of...
Indeed, those are our very own KBC icons just visiting the family of the late Mambo Mbotela in Langata. And of course, it is a great loss to this country, not just to the journalist fraternity here in the country. It is a great loss into the country. And of course, even the president was leading the charge to condole with the family. The KBC family will continue standing with the family. And of course, we do once again offer our condolences. And in other news now, Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki has committed to fast track the Disaster Risk Management Bill and the Metrology Bill as part of measures to cushion Kenyans against potential disasters. National Disaster Response Steering Committee says 1.8 million people are currently food insecure across 5 counties.
Deputy President Kithure Kindiki's office brought together key representatives from the National Disaster Response Steering Committee, led by Dr. Peter Ndegwa, who is the chairman, Paul Russo, the chair, Resource Mobilization Subcommittee, Dr. Stephen Jackson, chair, Policy and Legal Subcommittee, Agnes Kaleche, representative, Communication Subcommittee, and Gloria Ndekei from KEPSA Foundation. Dr. Ndegwa briefed the Deputy President on the committee's performance and achievements, including raising 1 billion shillings in funds, contributing to the development of the National Disaster Response Bill and Regulations 2023, distributing food to over 200,000 households, and conducting comprehensive drought assessment. Dr. Ndegwa and Dr. Jackson also highlighted the impact of the suspension of U.S. government support to humanitarian agencies and the growing concerns of donor fatigue among corporate partners. The committee also presented reports on the weather outlook for the March-May rains, with temperatures expected to be above normal in February and moderate to below average rainfall anticipated in the first and second weeks of April. On food security, the committee informed the Deputy President that food insecurity affects 1.8 million Kenyans across 5 counties. The Deputy President emphasized the importance of proactive measures to protect the country against potential disasters. Key among the recommendations of the meeting were enhanced disaster surveillance and comprehensive public health risk management efforts. The NDRSC was directed to send representatives to the upcoming Governors' Health Summit to discuss county-level drought status and mitigation measures. Joseph Wahungu for Lunchtime News.
Elsewhere, a section of Busia residents brought business to a standstill at the busy Busia one-stop border as they conducted what they termed as a last prayers for former Premier Raila Amolo Odinga ahead of the Africa Union Commission chairperson elections to be held in Ethiopia this Saturday. The residents urge African heads of state and government who will participate in the elections to vote for Raila, saying he has a good intention for the African continent.
Marais wote wa Afrika, Mungu aingie kwa mioyo zao, aponde mioyo zao, na Raila apate kibali machoni pao na machoni pa wanadamu.
Sisi kama wakaaji ya Busia tunafurahi sana. Baba aende asinde, na baba akumbuke watu ya Kenya. Asisahau na watu ya Kenya, akisinda akumbuke watu ya Kenya wote.
Tunapenda baba, tunaomba baba apate hiyo kiti. Atatusaidia juu baba ni mtu mzuri, ako na roho ya utu. Baba si mtu wa kwenda hivi na hivi. Sasa tunamuombea apate hiyo kura.
Tunaomba Raila ashinde, tena ashinde Afrika nzima. Kwa sababu ni mtu wetu wa Kenya na hatujaona ubaya, ni mzuri sana. Kama vijana wa Busia tutakubali matokeo yatatokea. Hatuna maneno mingi, sisi tunakuombea amani. Raila, endelea na uongozi wako inatakana.
Now, journalists have been encouraged to continue highlighting the effects of climate change through storytelling in line with the theme of this year's World Radio Day, which will be marked on a Thursday, February 13th. Media Council of Kenya Central and Eastern Region Coordinator Jackson Karanja says the more than 300 registered radio stations in the country have a role to play in creating and setting the agenda that positively impacts citizens.
A lot has been said, but we still feel that we as the media could be doing a lot. We should move away from not only reporting on matters related to climate change, but also having a robust discussion on measures and different and how different stakeholders can come together in addressing matters related to climate change. It is a rallying call to not only the media industry, but to the worldwide, on that we need to come together, put in measures in addressing matters related to climate change.
Police in Malindi Sub-County, Kilifi County have put gangs on notice and vowed to double down on lawlessness. Malindi Sub-County Police Commander Engineer Lukiton Mudavadi says a lot has been done to tame rising insecurity in the region, assuring residents and visitors of their safety. He urged the youth to engage in meaningful economic activities and stay away from crime.
Motorbikes, which will help our officers in carrying out patrols. We are hoping and believing that we shall have proper security in our area.
We are appealing to the security personnel who are here that this motorbike should be used properly, so that at least in future we can see that we have assisted them with the motorbike and the security has improved.
We know that they're limited with resources, but they're doing the best they can with the limited resources to make sure that we are secure and safe.
And on that note, we're taking our first breather here on KBC's Lunchtime News. Don't go too far. We still have more for you on terms of a business as well as sports.
Please can I have that and that? Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Ukiwin, beshte yako in your local shop win too. Hii ni the Cadbury Big Win-Win. Nunua any two participating Cadbury products. Scan QR code ama WhatsApp hi kunominate beshte yako in your local shop. Stand a chance ya kushinda share yako in cash prizes plus more. A win for you is a win for all. T's and C's apply.
Karibuni. Hii ndio base ya the best local entertainment.
Sitakubali ukalie kiti cha umiliki katika kampuni ya mume wangu.
Tell me where my money is and I'll make this quick and painless.
You don't know what they do to girls like you.
I think it's a very unfair. Nakujua vizuri sana. Na najua mdosi wangu vizuri sana. Hauwezi akakuandika kazi.
Radio, chemichemi ya mawasiliano, sauti inayotuleta pamoja, ikijivunia zaidi ya stesheni 15 za radio. KBC hakika ndiyo sauti ya Kenya, sauti inayopasua anga kwa mamlaka makuu, sauti inayotuleta pamoja. Katika sikukuu ya redio ulimwenguni, tunasherehekea urithi wetu, sauti za magwiji walioteka mawimbi kwa ubora usio kifani, na pia sauti za chipukizi wanaodumisha mwengo wa utangazaji bora. Jiunge nasi, tujivunie mafanikio ya redio. Jiunge nasi, tusherehekee uwezo wa redio katika kutufahamisha, kutuburudisha na kututia shime. Shime ya kuja pamoja na kupambana na hali ya mabadiliko ya tabia nchi. KBC ni yetu.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, suspected bandits have killed a police officer and freed 8 suspects from custody at the Charda area along the Maralal-Baragoi Road. 2 other officers who were escorting the 8 suspects managed to escape the ambush unharmed. Police say 2 of the 8 remandees were later recaptured. Samburu County Commissioner John Cheriot condemned the attack, issuing a stern warning that those responsible will be apprehended.
Dereva, lakini pia wale maafisa ambao walikuwa ni escorts walitoweka, lakini baadaye tuliwapata wakiwa hai. Kwa sasa hivi operation inaendelea na tayari tumekamata wale mahabusu 2 kati ya wale walitoroka.
Kuna wale ambao walitoroka na wako na hizo mapunduki, lazima wajitoe na wakuje mbele ya polisi, la sivyo tutapatana na wao. Yangu tu ni mwito kwa watu wetu wa hii barabara yetu kutoka kule Maralal, Marti mpaka Baragoi, kuhakikisha kwamba sisi tunakaa kwa usalama.
A section of members of the County Assembly in Garissa County have told off leaders opposing the abolishment of the identity card vetting process for citizens in the northeastern region, saying that the time has come for all Kenyans to be treated equally regardless of their ethnicity. Last week, while on a working tour of the northeastern region, President William Ruto signed a proclamation scrapping vetting requirements for Kenyans living on the border counties. The MCAs are led by the Baraki Ward MCA Hassan Gilei termed the utterances as misleading and politically motivated.
Now that the President has proclaimed that the unnecessary vetting has been removed and we are supposed to acquire ID and passport as Kenyans do, we don't want any guest to lecture us in any funeral, in any charges, in any political gathering.
And normally it takes 3 or to 6 months for one to acquire ID card in areas where we had vetting area, especially in Odisha.
One of their parents must inscribe the left thumbprint. They come with their birth certificate and age assessment, and the area chief satisfies. More than that, what kind of vetting do you want?
The Kajiado County government has announced plans to repossess and reallocate land from owners who have defaulted on their land rates in the county. Governor Joseph Olelenku, while addressing the County Assembly of Kajiado, said that the move is aimed at enhancing the county's financial position, which will help implement various development projects across the region. He revealed that the county collected only 74 million shillings in on-source revenue for the financial year 23-24, so far below the target of 200 million shillings this year. The members of the County Assembly have supported the move, urging plot owners to pay up the land rates, even as they called for dialogue before effecting the repossessing directive.
Land rates and rent in the next financial year. This is a revenue stream that we have not fully utilized. Our underperformance has been contributed by, among other factors, ongoing litigation on collection of revenue related to land with freehold titles.
Ardhi ni kitu muhimu sana. Naweza kuta mtu ana hiyo ardhi kidogo tu ambayo anayo anaikalia, lakini jamani tusiwanyang'anye. Lakini walipe land rates, lakini tusiulize pia.
Unafaa kuhakikisha ya kwamba every year wakati unapewa billing yako ya kulipa shamba, unapewa invoice, unafaa kulipa.
Sisi tunaambia
Residents of Lekiamulamo County have raised concerns over frequent invasions by elephants in the region that they say have led to a massive crop destruction, financial losses and food insecurity. According to the community, marauding elephants regularly trample on and consume their crops, leaving farmers struggling to recover. Despite multiple distress calls to the Kenya Wildlife Service, the residents claim a response has been slow, further worsening the situation. They also decried of the lack of compensation, saying they have not received payments despite suffering repeated losses.
Nawaambia KWS wahakikishe kuwa hawa wanyama wanasukumwa kuelekea pande ambaye msitu iko, maana hiyo watu wa eneo hii hawana shida na wanyama. Wanafurahia wale wanyama, lakini ni wanyama wa kule mashambani, na wananchi waweze kulima katika mashamba yao ili kuweza kujikimu.
Nilikuwa nikilima kilimo ya maji. Para ikaja ikaliwa ni kama miaka mitatu, sikulipo chochote. Nilienda bio kujaza na hakuna chochote nimepata. Sasa hapa mara ukienda sijui umepiga waya, sijui umefanya nini, kazi ni ya kusunguka na hakuna chochote umepata.
The National Government Constituency Development Fund, NGCDF, in Mandera South has launched a 7 million shilling bursary kitty to support the most vulnerable students in the constituency. The initiative, announced at Mandera Teachers Training College by Mandera South Member of Parliament Abdiaziz Kore, is set to benefit students in schools, colleges and universities, with a special focus on those pursuing teaching courses.
Support ninyi na bursary in a big way, lakini once these brothers and sisters of yours ambayo wako kwa first lot next year wata graduate away, we are going to bring the second lot of this group and you will be the first priority.
Don't let us down. We want you to come out of this institution so that you impact the knowledge to our people who are out there. Saizi tuko na bahati mbaya. The institution ama schools class 8, class 1 to grade 9 with less than 3-4 teachers. That is not actually, you can't even call it access to education.
Now, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Principal Secretary Susan Mogeni is calling on the African countries to shift towards mobilizing domestic resources to the fight against malaria. Kenya faces a financial gap of an estimated 33 million shillings in the fight against malaria. Mogeni spoke at the 2025 End Malaria Councils and Funds Chairs Dinner, which seeks to raise the estimated $6.3 billion needed annually to sustain and expand malaria control efforts in Africa. She noted that the African Union's goal is to eliminate malaria by the year 2030, calls for collective efforts of government, the private sector, civil societies and communities.
We're losing a child because of malaria. We cannot really quantify, maybe at the moment, how much money we're losing in our economy to try and take care of malaria, but I must say probably the reason why we are struggling to fight poverty could be because of malaria.
Now to another developing story here. Lands Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome has denied claims that a controversial Turkish businessman Harun Aydin, who was deported from Kenya in 2021, has won a tender to construct 100,000 affordable housing units. The ministry, however, said he had placed a bid for the tender but was not successful. The CS spoke after meeting controversial televangelist Apostle Nganga of Neno Evangelism Church, who once kicked out a woman who had gone to seek help to pay rent after her house was locked.
Because our tendering procurement process is public, guided by the law, we are of course expected to do due diligence. The case you have referred to, I am not aware where you got the information from. I will seek to find out. We do fact-finding, due diligence, so that you also don't get people doing money laundering around, money that is not clear. We have very tight regulation on financial reporting.
Ninaweza nikapata nyumba 100, mimi nitalipa, niwalipie mimi watu 100.
Yes.
Yeah.
Utapata.
Naweza. Basi munipe hiyo application size niende nayo. Maana niko na watu wengi sana ambao hata mimi naweza kufurahia mtu akikaa kwa nyumba yake. Yeah. Sasa hawa watasema umenipatia nyumba. Sawa.
Also, members of the County Assembly for Sabaki Ward in Kilifi County, Rose Baraka, has vowed to eradicate social challenges youth face through talent development. Rose has embarked on a series of projects such as introduction of the soccer tournaments aimed at tackling pressing issues such as drug addiction and teenage pregnancies. She emphasized the urgency of addressing social challenges and providing the youth with decent means of earning their livelihoods.
Mambo ya kuweka vijana kwa pamoja na si ni hii ya mpira tu peke yake. Sasa hii bado tunaangalia mbinu nyingine. Kuna talanta tofauti tofauti. Kuna wachoraji pia. Hao pia tutawatafuta. Aina tofauti tofauti. Tunataka tuweke vijana wote kwa pamoja ili tuhakikishe Sabaki yetu mambo ya uhalifu imeisha. Tunataka tuizike kabisa kwa kaburi la Sabaki.
Now let's make sense of the numbers. The Kenya Revenue Authority dismissed 19 staff members between October and December last year for engaging in corruption. Among the reasons for dismissal included fraud, impersonation and other ethical breaches.
The Kenya Revenue Authority received 246 corruption reports in the last 3 months of last year through iWhistle, involving tax totaling about 4.39 billion shillings. iWhistle is a web-based platform that enables the public to report corruption and tax evasion anonymously. Of those reported, 19 were dismissed for engaging in, among others, lack of integrity, fraud, negligence of duty, absenteeism, conflict of interest, impersonation, and other ethical breaches. To further strengthen its anti-corruption efforts, Carrier implemented lifestyle audits, which were in identifying illicit wealth among staff. During the period under review, 6 lifestyle audits were conducted, and 117 staff members underwent the vetting process. Other key anti-corruption measures include profiling tax evaders and adopting a whole-of-government approach, promoting collaboration among public institutions to enhance compliance and curb tax evasion. Kenya Revenue Authority Commissioner General Humphrey Watanga says, "We cannot afford to turn a blind eye to those who abuse our systems. Our collaboration with EACC is not just strategic, it is a moral imperative. We will establish a robust framework that not only deters tax evasion, but also imposes strict penalties on those who facilitate such evasion, ensuring accountability for their actions." Ndutamo Kami for Lunchtime News.
Now, an Old Mutual financial report reveals that 70% of Kenyans saw a decline in their incomes in 2024, with half of the working population reporting stress. Here's Benson Orioba with the details.
The second edition of the Old Mutual Financial Services Monitor explores the financial well-being of employed Kenyans, focusing on urban and peri-urban adults aged between 20 and 59 and earning at least 12,000 shillings. The findings paint a concerning picture of financial insecurity.
Kenyans are making choices on what is what can I afford now? What is accessible to me? What do I feel comfortable with?
The report says most of those surveyed were concerned by high cost of living, taxes, unemployment, and a difficult business environment.
Kenyans are vibrant, looking for opportunities in business, in small enterprises to increase their income. Secondly, we are seeing increasing or sustained optimism.
The report, however, says 3 in 10 Kenyans reported that their household income consistently covers all expenses.
Kenyans have started to embrace very, very positive financial behaviors, one including an increase in the levels of savings.
In response to the financial challenges, many Kenyans are more cautious with their spending, with most of them downsizing their living arrangements by opting for cheaper brands, moving children to more affordable schools, and cutting back on discretionary expenses such as dining out, entertainment, and travel. Benson Druba reporting for Lunchtime News.
Policymakers should expedite the process of incorporating digital currencies into the mainstream financial systems to help deepen financial inclusion. Sorted Digital Wallet Director, that is Stephen Brown, says that digital currencies can help countries surmount the challenges posed by hard currency. Brown is calling on policymakers in Africa to fast-track the process of developing policies and regulations on the digital currencies.
Kenya represents a place where fintech has always had a strong foothold. Since, I believe, around 2007, 2008, when M-Pesa launched, it's been one of the leading lights of digital payments in what beforehand would have been a very cash-based or informal society. So it seemed like us a good place to start. So education is a huge challenge because crypto and these type tokens have got a bad name because of a lot of scams and a lot of bad actors. So education is a key.
And on the international scenes, Coca-Cola may have to sell more drinks in plastic bottles in the United States if President Donald Trump's tariffs end up making aluminum cans more expensive. The company's chief executive, that is James Quincy, said in a call with investors, it comes after Trump ordered a 25% import tax on all steel and aluminum entering the United States, which could end up driving up the price of canned food and drink items in the country. Details of this and other stories is in our news wrap across the globe.
Coca-Cola CEO James Quincy stated that the company sources aluminium for its cans from Canada and is exploring ways to offset potential price increases following the announcement of the 25% tariff on steel and aluminium. During an earnings call on Tuesday, Quincy indicated that if aluminium prices surge, Coca-Cola might shift towards selling more beverages in plastic bottles. However, he downplayed the impact of the tariffs, noting that the packaging constitutes only a small fraction of the company's overall costs. In recent years, Coca-Cola had been increasing its reliance on aluminium cans as part of its sustainability efforts. While generally more expensive aluminium cans are significantly more recyclable over time compared to plastic bottles. Meanwhile, Heineken's shares surged 12% on Wednesday after the Dutch brewer reported forecast beating profit, launched a share buyback and predicted more growth next year. The world's number 2 brewer's annual organic operating profit rose 8.3%, surpassing analysts' forecast of 5.3% and exceeding the company's own expectations of an increase of up to 8%. The performance provides more reassurance to investors who have criticized Heineken for both over and under-promising with its outlook and for volatility in its results. The company announced a €1.5 billion share buyback program spanning 2 years and forecast further growth in operating profit of between 4% and 8% in 2025. And finally, in Europe, the European Commission is reportedly considering imposing a temporary cap on gas prices after they soared to record highs. European natural gas prices have surged to their highest levels in over 2 years due to a combination of cold temperatures and low wind output, which has hampered renewable energy generation. These prices are now 3 to 4 times higher than in the US. According to the Financial Times, Brussels is weighing new measures to temporarily limit gas prices as part of its upcoming clean industrial deal. However, the deal has already sparked pushback from industry groups, warning that such measures could undermine trust in the European energy market. Trevor Ngendo for Lunchtime News.
And now finally, let's play. The national women's soccer team, Harambee Starlets, intensified its training ahead of the African Women's Cup of a Nation qualifier against Tunisia. The first leg is set to be played on February 21st as Ulinzi Sports Complex in Nairobi County. The reverse fixture is scheduled 4 days later away in Tunisia. The head coach, Beldine Odemba, has named a 36-member provisional squad, with 26 having already reported to the residential camp. If Kenya gets past Tunisia, Kenya will play Cameroon in the final round of the qualifiers. Kenya is seeking to make its second appearance at the Women African Cup of Nations finals after qualifying for the first time in 2016.
Hata kama maybe au ni wakubwa ama tuseme maybe au wamekuwa wazoefu kwa senior team, mimi najitahidi kadri ya uwezo wangu ndio pia mimi niweze kufit kwa senior team.
Football ni jani, kimimi na hao maplayer wengine wenye wanacheza, but kitu tunaweza waambia tu ni kufuata tu instruction kidogo zenye coach anakuambia.
Wote wenye wanatazama tutawaangusha kwa hii Tunisia, tunaenda ku make it kwa champion kwa hii qualifier.
And now to the Knights of Champions in Europe. It will be a battle of survival for Manchester City when they travel to Real Madrid next week in the return leg playoffs of the UEFA Champions League after reigning champions came from behind to beat them 3-2 at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City, who started on the right foot through Erling Haaland's early goal, particular match Real Madrid had central defensive midfielders in the form of Tchouameni as well as Valverde in the centre-backs role. And of course tonight the playoffs continue. Club Brugge will face Atalanta, Celtic will face Bayern, Feyenoord will face AC Milan, and Monaco will be welcoming the Portugal giants Benfica at their backyards. And of course the return leg will be next week. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. The sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Lucy Maura. Good afternoon for now.
Ama mheshimiwa ulikuwa wewe tu Valentine yangu.
Sikia.
Wewe. Kali ni yako.
Hata si yako.
Wewe uko hata na pikipiki.
Wewe hata si yako wewe.
Ngoja, wewe uko hata na pasikiri. Wewe ndio ulikuwa unataka nikupeleke Valentine.
Mimi unipeleke wapi sasa? Mimi ataenda na wewe wapi?
Polisi, wewe ndio ulikuwa unataka nikupeleke.
Habana ya.
Very good. So, who is the who now here? Who is the who?
Who is the you?
Hey, who is the you?
Wewe. Hiyo unamaanisha nini?
Yeye ni nani hapa?
Muulize na Kiswahili.
Tena ingine kama nilifanya vibaya, I'm sorry, and if you want to be my Valentine, mheshimiwa, I'm here.
Mheshimiwa.
Wewe si wewe nimeongelesha. Sijaongelesha.
Na kwa kujua umuhimu na uzuri wa matunda, kaweka angalau tunda moja kila msimu. Eneo hili la Murang'a tunakutana na mkulima ambaye amejikita katika kilimo cha matunda ya karakara na tree tomato. Karibu tujione.
Eneo hili la Mathioya hujulikana sana kwa ukuzi wa majani chai kwa sababu ya hali ya anga yake. Ndio maana hata ukiangalia mandhari ya eneo hili la kuvutia na kuridhisha. Bwana Kagwe ni mkulima aliyeamua kuzingatia kilimo tofauti sana na majirani zake. Kazi hii ya kilimo alianza baada ya kustaafu kufunza, lakini kabla ya hapo alikuwa akijishughulisha na kilimo kidogo kidogo hapa na pale.
Nalima matunda hapa. Matunda hasa yenye nalima avocado, tomatoes, passion, na kuna wakati hata nilikuwa nimejaribu kidogo pineapples lakini hazikufanya vizuri. Pia nalima vyakula vingine kama viazi, mahindi, nina ng'ombe, kuku kidogo, nimewahi kujaribu kazi ya nguruwe na kazi zingine kama hizo.
Basi wazo la kupanda miti ya matunda likamjia. Wazo hilo nalo likasadikiwa na mafunzo aliyopata kanisani. Basi mwaka wa 2005 akapanda miti 200 ya matunda, bado akifuga kuku, nguruwe na kupanda vitunguu na maboga.
Mimi hushiriki kanisa la Kianglikana, na wakati mmoja tukaletewa semina, tukaambiwa tunaweza jaribu kulima matunda. Nililima matunda kama 200, na vile ilinipeleka nikaona ni kazi naweza kuwa nikifanya.
Na baada ya mafunzo adimu kutoka kwa watafiti na ujuzi aliopata hapo awali, matunda yake yakanawiri hadi ashinde kutimiza kiwango cha matunda yanayohitajika sokoni. Naye alitupa siri ya ukuzi mzuri wa matunda.
Ikiwa iko na acidity kubwa, unapimiwa pH. Ikiwa acidity iko juu sana, tunatumia agricultural lime ndio ipunguze huo ukali wa acid, ndio hata matunda yako yasikue makali, yawe sweet. Ukisha mwaga agricultural lime kwa shamba, unaichimbua, then measurements, unachimba shimo, unaweka mbolea ya kutosha, fertilizer kidogo, na pia kuna kitu kingine si huongeza kwa shimo ili kuzuia mizizi ya tree tomatoes isiatakiwe na nematodes, sababu pia nematodes huharibu sana matunda.
Baada ya kupanda na kumaliza miezi 4, mti wako unaanza kutoa maua. Ili mti wako usipoteze maua yote na ukose matunda, tia mbolea ili kuzuia hilo.
Kutoka kupanda mwezi wa 4 unatakiwa huo mti kuwa umeanza flowering. Ukifanya flowering, kuna fertilizer tunaweka kidogo sana ili ukianza flowering usifanye flower abortion. The 8th month mti wako unatakiwa kuwa na matunda. Sasa unawacha matunda yakuwe makubwa. By the 12th month unatakiwa kuwa unavuna.
Ikitegemea jinsi unavyotunza mti wako, mazao yatakuwa tele na kila msimu kwa miaka 3. Tulipomuuliza Bwana Kagwe yeye hupata hela ngapi kwa mwezi, hili ndilo alilotuarifu.
Hii miti ikiwa karibu 500, ninavuna around almost 800 kgs. So tunaweza divide 800 by 500. Hiyo ni per month. Ndio tupate mtu mmoja unanipa kama kilogramu.
Karakara ni tunda lingine pia analopanda. Mbegu zake zote za matunda anazopanda yeye hujitayarishia mwenyewe.
Mbegu zenye mimi hupanda either ni za tree tomato ama ni za passion, hujitayarishia mimi mwenyewe. Kwa hivyo huenda kwa shamba ambalo lina passion, nachagua matunda yale naona hayana ugonjwa yoyote, nakuja natayarisha hizo mbegu mwenyewe vile zinatakiwa kutayarishwa. Nikisoma pia kuzitayarisha, halafu naziweka kwa seedbed, halafu naziweka kwa makaratasi, then I wait until they are mpaka ziwe certain height, ndio sasa ni transplant kwa shamba.
Nalo shamba hutayarishwa sawia vile ungetayarisha kupanda matunda ya tree tomato. Kutoka kwa mstari moja hadi mwingine kwa karakara ni futi 5, na kutoka kwa tunda moja hadi lingine ni kati ya futi 4.5 ama 5. Zinapoanza kutoa maua, unaziviringa juu kwa kamba.
Kwa shamba inatakiwa kuwa from line to line 5 feet. Na kutoka tunda kwenda tunda unaweza weka 4 feet, 4.5 or 5 feet. It depends. Pari flat na pari slope, the measurements are not the who are see the same. Una prepare tu vile una prepare for tree tomato, alafu unapanda. Unawacha inatoa suckers, then unaanza kuremove suckers, then unaanza kuzitrain, kuzifunga juu na kamba. Waya ambayo unatumia lazima iwe galvanized. Ukitumia waya ambayo inaweza pata kutu, inaweza leta shida kwa matunda na kuleta magonjwa.
Akiangalia nyuma mahali alipotoka tangu mwaka 2005 hadi sasa, tofauti i wazi.
Niseme kama wakati nilianza na nguruwe kidogo, lakini baada ya muda mfupi sana nikakuta niliko na nguruwe kama 90. Nilikuwa nimechukua mkopo, nikazilea, nikampa chakula, lakini wakati ilifika ya kuziuza, pesa ya chakula imeisha na nguruwe zenyewe market ikakosa. Kwa ikakuwa challenge kubwa sana, nina nguruwe hapa na sina pesa ya chakula. So nikaona ni kazi ilinisumbua. So nikafikiria nijaribu at least nilime kitu ambacho hakitakuwa kinaniitisha chakula, sababu tree tomatoes na passion mara mingi isipokuwa ni labda ni dawa kidogo ya bright na kucontrol pests. Ukisha pada na uweke borea ya kutosha, hakuna kitu kingine inakuitisha, ni kuitunza tu.
Nyuki, licha ya kuwa kiumbe hatari iwapo utamkosea, ni mdudu mzuri sana haswa kwa ukizi wa maua. Ndio maana Nelson aliamua kuwafuga karibu na miti yake ya matunda hapa shambani mwake. Hajutii kuingilia kilimo kwa kikamilifu baada ya kustaafu, lakini alituarifu iwapo angejua tangu angali barubaru, angeanza kilimo mapema. Wito wake kwa vijana nao ni huu.
Mimi ningesema kwa vijana, yule ambaye anaweza pata nafasi hata kidogo sana. Ukiangalia hii tree tomato, hii peke yake yenye tunavuna ni around 500 stems. Nafikiria hata imechukua quarter an acre. Hii labda ni less than quarter an acre. Na ikiwa inaweza kuwa inakupa around between 30 and 40,000 shillings per month, hata ukitoa hasara, sababu kuna hasara utatoa, sababu utakuta kuna vitu, hata kama utabakishiwa 20 ama 25, ni afadhali kuliko kwenda kuandikwa kazi ya shilingi 10,000 kuliko, na hapa wewe utakuwa umejiajiri wewe mwenyewe. Unaweza kuwa ugraduate kutoka farming peke yake ukiwa kijana, uanze paka kuwa na seedlings. Unauza seedling moja, tunauza ama tunanunua at 30 shillings. Kwa hivyo utaweza ona kama sasa hii matunda ni 500 na nilinunua na 30 shillings, sababu hii nilinunua kwa mtu hii yote. Kwa hivyo almost 15,000 na ni kijana aliniletea hapa. So kuna pesa katika kilimo.
Kwa wale wanaodhani kilimo ni kazi ya kuchosha sana na kazi ngumu, sivyo, haswa iwapo utaifanya kwa moyo wako wote, kupata mafunzo na watu wa kukusaidia.
Fruit farming or fruit farming has been a passion. Ni kitu nimependa, ni kitu inatoka kwa roho yangu. Na wakati ninapopanda matunda, huona ni kilimo rahisi sana. Sababu ukishalima ni kutunza tu. Niseme kama sasa mimi kuingia kwa shamba hapa asubuhi. Passion fruit inataka a lot of care, sababu ya kutoa suckers, kutrain those vines zile zinatakiwa kutolewa zitolewe. Kuzunguka kwa tree tomatoes uone kama labda kuna ile imekuwa attacked by any disease or imeatakiwa na pests, Alafu mimi nikifanya kazi kufikia saa 5 saa 6 natoka, ninaweza kwenda pale popote nataka. Tena huwa kilimo cha matunda si kama cha ng'ombe ama cha wanyama, hakinifungi hapa nyumbani. Naweza, kuna wakati hata naweza toka niende nikatembee hata 2 weeks. Napigiwa simu, kuna wakulima wamekuja wanataka hivi, wamekuja wanataka matunda, wanataka seedlings. Kama wakulima wenye wananijua na wanajua nimekuwa nikilima, hata huniomba advice kwa simu, na advice mtu namwambia utafanya hivi na hivi free of charge. Lakini ukija hapa ukitaka kusoma hapo tunaongea, sababu ni siku nitakuwa nimekutengea wewe mwenyewe.
Basi nawe usisite kujitosa.
Pima mchanga wako kabla ya kuanza kilimo cha matunda, ili ujue ni madini yapi utaongeza ama kupunguza, ili matunda yako yasiwe chachu ama kuharibika kwa sababu ya madini mengi au kukosa madini. Ukitafakari hayo, mpenzi mtazamaji, tupate pumziko fupi, nitarejea muda usiokuwa mrefu.